television has been around for around a century. So over those decades, we've had good movies, we've had bad movies, we've had mixed movies. So let's take time to acknowledge the best film from each decade, coming in from the 30s, which is where I'm starting because I've not seen anything from the 1900s or the 1920s. But coming in for the 30s, we have The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is just one of those perfect and valuable films. It's amazing, hilarious, iconic, rings all the right, hits all the right notes. You can never dislike it. I honestly cannot think of anybody who would hate it. Everybody knows you have to hate the Return to Oz. That is by far one of the worst movies ever because it is my least favorite movie. And honestly, no film has ever gotten worse, and no film I doubt will ever come worse. But The Wizard of Oz, seeing how bad The Return to Oz is, it just makes The Wizard of Oz that much better. That may not make sense, but trust me, it makes sense when it doesn't make sense. Okay, that doesn't make sense either. Okay, moving on to the 40s. Yeah, acknowledging it like I wasn't saying it. Okay, Miracle on 34th Street. I also do like It's a Wonderful Life because I think those are the only two movies of the 40s that I've seen. But everybody knows Miracle on 34th all the way. This is one of those most iconic Christmas movies of all time. No doubt about it. I mean, there's so many things. It's about this guy that thinks that he's Santa, so he's coming around saying it to people. People are saying things that he's not Santa, which because of some obvious reasons. And I have to say that this movie is just so iconic and you have to love it. Bring us to the 1950s, we have Peter Pan. Peter Pan is one of those Walt Disney classics. Well, you can see it says right there. I just thought of that up right now. This is by far one of my favorite animated films of all time. It has comedy when you think of, well, not comedy, but it's funny when you see Wendy and Tinkerbell kind of getting at each other's throats. Well, that might have actually been a good idea to get Tinkerbell off of her. There's also some funny things with like Hook and his Captain Hook and the rest of the posse. That is hilarious. This is one of the best animated films ever. Bringing us to the 60s, we have probably the only movie of the 60s that I've seen, Lieutenant Robin Crusoe. This is an amazing film. I love the shark scene in it, which takes place on when he's on a raft stranded. And there's a shark in the water. I don't even know if we know what shark it is. I took a guess and thought that it looked like a bull shark, but I have no idea what it was. But nevertheless, it's funny. I suggest you watch this movie. It's an amazing classic. Dick Van Dyke's in it, so you can imagine why it would be funny. Because Dick Van Dyke, the rule is most of the time, if he's in a film, he's funny. I mean, the movie will be funny. Not all the time, but most of the time. Or maybe all the time. But I extremely love this movie because it's just, I love old classics. Especially from Disney, before they decided they would go and do some things now that I don't really believe in. But I will mention. Okay. Heading to the 70s, we have my second favorite film ever. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope is another one of those amazing, iconic, and just valuable movies. How can you ever hate a film like this? This may have came after Star Trek, so people thought that it was like a copy, but no. Star Wars is like infinitely better than Star Trek, definitely. I don't even need to watch Star Trek because I know that Star Wars is already better. Well, maybe not the sequel trilogy. But I know the originals are probably better because I just have to love them. It's a rule. You must love Star Wars. You must. Okay, let me take that back. Not the sequels. Actually, no. 7 you can like. 8 and 9, no. 8 and 9 are bad. Just full on bad. but I extremely love this. This is one of the best movies. This is the second best movie ever, and it was had in the 70s, especially since it was back when technology hadn't been really invented yet. It hadn't really been established and completely made, so you can imagine why it's so good. Bringing us to the 80s, we have Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. The majority of people say that The Empire Strikes Back is the best. I actually have to say I like A New Hope better. It's the original, and I'm an original guy. Well, you know that because if you've seen any of my other videos, it's an amazing sequel, one of the best of all time, no doubt about it. I love getting to see Boba Fett. It's good about everything about it is great. I do have some things that I didn't really like with it, just not that much. I literally loved basically everything about it. I love the duel between Luke and Darth Vader, but everybody knows, if you're a true Star Wars fan, the best duel of all time was Anakin and Obi-Wan's duel in the third. It had the most action and the best like technology. Okay, bringing us to the 90s, we have a tie, so I'm going to put both films in. We have Home Alone as well as Home Alone 2, where this kid twice gets left home alone. Okay, the second time he gets lost in New York. That's why it says Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. I have to say I can't choose which one is better, so that's why they're in a tie. But they're both equally funny. I mean, I love all the traps. One of the best things about them is the traps should have killed Harry and Marv, who are the bad guys. Harry's the smart one and it is always good. Marv is the dumb one, but he does it in a smart way somehow. But they're both charming, which is something that the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth movies lacked. Both with their villains. Their villains weren't smart at all. And neither were the movies itself. Not even the kids themselves. They were just bad. Downright dumb. I just hated it. But the first and second are amazing. Like, one of the best things is, like, how Kevin decides that somehow Harry and Marv survived this amazing trap of... Kevin somehow gets, like, a lamppost, and he ties it to a rope, then he drops it down the stairs. Both Harry and Marv get the thing hit in the face after they get paint cans to the face. Both of those things would have cracked their skulls, no doubt. But that's not enough. Them falling onto their backs through like a 10-foot hole off the stairs, that should have killed them. And if that isn't enough, Kevin decides for overkill. He decides he will cut the rope and let the lamppost fall back into the hole, and then it hits him back on their face. Again, so funny, but they should have been killed several times within both of these movies. But it's just so enjoyable to see them be almost killed, but somehow they're not supposed to be killed. It's like a sign. Bringing us to the 2000s, we have The Dark Knight. This is the best movie ever, no doubt. This is the best crime, thriller, drama, and action ever. It brings so many things to the table. It has one of the best villains portrayed by an electric Heath Ledger. So it has this is the best in the Dark Knight trilogy. If you're a Batman fan, you will not say that The Dark Knight is a bad movie, because it isn't. Anybody who says that is wrong. They're not being smart. You cannot say it. I won't allow it, because I was a bit scared of this because I saw this when I was 9. So I was a bit scared with this when I saw it at first. So, of course, I wasn't a big fan of it because I was scared of it, because I thought that I knew who the Joker was. So I asked my dad when he showed it to me, along with my 2 other brothers, I said, "Does the Joker kill anybody?" And he says, "Yes, a lot." Yeah, that was the funny thing. Also, when we saw Batman Begins, I asked who the villains were. I said the Joker, and my dad said no. And I said the Penguin, and he said no, because I was disappointed, because at the time, those 2 were my favorite Batman villains. Because Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises, we all saw one after one. But an amazing movie, no doubt. Coming into the 2010s, we have Jurassic World. This is one of those movies that I love more than I should, probably. I mean, I love this more than Jurassic Park. I thought the because Jurassic Park mostly managed to balance out the Jurassic Park just had a lot of magic to it and maybe a few one-liners along the way. Meanwhile, Jurassic World has the same thing, magic and one-liners. Plus, they decided they add in action, some of the best. Plus, they were able to almost perfect the technology, get all sorts of eating scenes, which makes it so amazing, because you needed action for dinosaur things, and getting to see Chris Pratt ride through the woods on a motorcycle being followed by velociraptors, so entertaining. Probably more, it's more entertaining than it sounds, trust me. But coming in for the 2020s, so far I will update this soon, possibly if my rankings ever change, probably. We have, for the 2020s, we have Top Gun Maverick. This was made in 2022. This is one of my favorite movies, no doubt. I enjoy Top Gun more, actually. That's a hot take for sure. I just always thought that one was more original, and I'm a lot more of an original guy than a sequel guy. The Dark Knight is an exception, by far. But this is an amazing movie. It follows Maverick through his journey dealing with Goose's death, and I just so love this movie, and I did think both Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick were boring when I saw them, because I saw Top Gun first. Then, 2 years later, Top Gun Maverick comes out. Then I watch it, I'm a bit bored with it at first, and then I rewatch it, and I'm like, this is, my favorite movie of all time. Then I watch other movies, and they become my favorite movie of all time, aka The Dark Knight. Well, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. It is completely up to you. And I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good one.